We got midterms on the way. So some of these Democrats run states need to keep a certain number of amount of immigrants in the state just so they can hold those seats.
Right.
Because, I do got to say, the Democrats run state with the no voter ID. I have seen plenty of videos out there where people recording themselves. I'm going in here to vote. I'm going into another place to vote again. I just voted 4 times. And
really?
That's really a big issue. And a lot of people say that's not happening.
Oh, that's bull crap.
I know for a fact when I go in there and vote, you want to see my ID? No, we don't need it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Would you ever try that? Would you ever try?
Hell no. I wouldn't
go
even
in there and vote twice.
Hey, first of all,
if you had a candidate that you wanted to vote for,
yes, thank you. So I don't have to go through it.
No,
but
you think you would try to see if it really happens? You go in there and actually vote twice?
No, because I'm putting myself in risk of what if I happen to go to the one polling office where they actually paying attention, and I'm too paranoid for that shit.
Not in Chicago. You don't have to worry about
I was
that.
like, what's your address? And then they tell you to write your address down. They don't even ask for verification, and no bills or anything. You could do that.
Now, the crazy thing to me was when everybody, well, not everybody, but when Trump came out and said the election was stolen by Joe Biden. And I didn't listen to his points because everybody said election is stolen, and I just blew it off a while. I like, dude, man, he lost or whatever. And then I just so happened to catch a report where they were talking about the number of people that had voted compared to any other election. So Joe Biden is up with 81 million votes. And I was like, man, dude, that's a lot of votes. And if you look at Trump's, his pretty much stayed the same. So you had this 15 million people gap that came in during COVID when everything was locked down. So that means all these votes were mailed in. Now, they did say in terms of it being like, oh, yeah, it wasn't cheated or nothing. When they said they recounted the votes, they didn't verify if the people were real or not. They just verified that this person voted for Democrat, this person voted for Republican, this person voted for Democrat, they didn't bother to look and see if any of those people really existed. And you mean to tell me like, oh, it was done fairly if I'm mailing a vote in? I was like, dude, mail fraud is one of the biggest frauds out there. And to sit up here and be like, oh yeah, no, nothing could happen with the mail. I'm like, is you crazy?
Yes, it can.
I'm like, that was the first fraud I think was mail fraud.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, I just attributed it. I didn't look into it either because, like you said, I was just like, everybody say that. You just mad because you lost.
But
whatever.
even I think in Georgia admitted that they had 300-something thousand voted that voters or voting or whatever that shouldn't not have voted. And there was enough to swing that state because Trump only won by a margin. Or
no, he lost.
I'm sorry, he lost by a margin. What I think it was like 17,000 votes.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
They're saying, hey, technically, if those extra 300,000 votes wasn't there, Trump would have won that state, and that's still going off of the audit that's going on. I still think it's going to be more.
Yeah, that's just one state. That's just Georgia.
What percentage of voter fraud do you think there is in every election? It ain't zero.
Oh, it ain't zero.
It ain't zero.
But I think it's just the fact of admitting that there is fraud and that the system that we are currently having
as they do that, then they got to shut the whole thing down.
But
they need to. If you can go in and vote,
that's counter to their survival, their existence.
All right. So if I go buy cigarettes right now with gray hair and everything, they'll ID me. They want to see my ID. If I go buy alcohol with my gray hair, they'd be like, "Let me see your ID." If I go buy some weed, which I'm not condoning or said that I do, I would have to go sit there and I would have to show ID. So all three of those things are more important than people's voting. That to me raised suspicion. If voting is that serious, why wouldn't you want an ID? Wouldn't you want to make this process fair? Wouldn't you want to show your ID and say, this is who I am? Let me vote for my person?
So what are the pushbacks to that? Because I don't know.
Racism. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Cut it out. I'm talking about.
If it's the question you about to ask, then it is racism.
When
go
they
ahead.
talk about the voter ID thing, and they are the people who are proponents of it, what is the steel man that they have for not wanting voter ID? Like their actual justifications that they're promoting.
Racism.
I know that's the
It is,
but what is the
majority?
Because they're
of
talking about in access to having IDs, and that part I don't understand. I'm like, what point do you not have IDs? Like,
the pushback from the Democrat for not wanting voter ID. One, they think that it would be racism against people who supposedly don't have an ID. That means you have to technically ID somebody to say whether if you can vote or not. Another thing is they think it will be an infringe on black people because apparently a lot of the Democrats have been saying that a lot of black people don't have ID on them for some apparent reason. But these are the issues that they're pushing when they try to go and vote on these bills in the House of Congress or the Senate to try to get this passed in a law that's required that you have an ID when voting in federal election. It also does protect us from anybody coming across the border and voting because you technically just providing the address without providing any type of proof.
Yeah, but what are the reasons? Because I'm like I heard all of that part, that stuff. Okay. But what are the actual reasons that they saying these people don't have IDs? Because I can't think of any reasons for a person to not have an ID, not even have the ability to obtain an ID.
That's what they're saying. They're saying it's going to be like a racial target. Like I'm gonna say racism.
It is. I mean,
I'm saying, but how though? I don't. That's the part I don't understand.
In their
who
mindset,
doesn't have access to an obtain an identification? How is that racist?
I don't know.
Yeah, and to me that's the dumbest thing at all. But in all honesty, to your question, it's like that was the reason. They said because it's making they want black people to prove that and. Okay, we black. And what that got to do with voting in an ID? Now, any case scenario, hypothetically, if I had to get up right now and walk out that door and a cop pull up on me and be like, let me see some ID, and I don't have an ID, guess where I'm going?
All right.
So I'm like, why wouldn't you have an ID? To me, it's like, dude, you need an ID to get a job. You need an ID to get a social security number. You need an ID to drive. It's like, so who's out here with no ID?
Yeah, but I do think it still goes back
only
to...
people I can see, real quick, down. Only people I can see that applying to is like real elderly people who don't have to do none of that no more.
But they wouldn't necessarily be out there...
But why
voting?
not, though?
Would you still have the will? Would you even care anymore if you're 95 to
but
go
I
out
think
there and
that
vote?
would be...
Well, if you're 95, you got an ID. Trust me.
I'm like,
if you're 95, it might be expired, but your ass got an ID.
It's expired. You ain't got no. You don't have a job. You haven't had to get a job. You on Social Security. You on Social Security. I'm like,
you got to cash that check. You need an ID. You got to go to the bank if it's
direct deposit.
Then you need an ID. You can't walk in the bank talking about, I miss Jenkins. I need my money, baby. Let me go and get $35 for my lottery.
They kids done already set all that stuff up. That's the only thing. And I had to really think about that. Like that's the only instance that I could see for it being an inconvenience, not an impossibility. It'd be an inconvenience to require an ID to vote. It's for an elderly person who had no reason to renew their license and their ID last time it expired, who don't really. They just chilling in the house on retirement, go to church on Sundays and come back and listen to what the old people listen. They don't listen to Fox.
Oh hell!
What's the other one?
I was
NBC, ABC. No, what's the other one?
UPN.
No,
why you keep looking at me talking about old people? I found that kind of interesting.
Back and forth. The news stations. There's Fox and
that's your mama.
ABC, CBS, CBS, ABC.
But I'm just like, that's the only instance that I could see for a person of voter age to not have an ID and it to be an inconvenience. But even then, it's like, hey, if they got kids or if they got church, a church family, people that can take them out to go get their IDs, which I did see people were doing that in the South, especially in the South. They were like, they had the buses of the church buses and stuff going to pick up the elderly people to go, get them out the house and taking them to go vote. I'm like, they could do the same thing. Get a whole bunch of old people up and take them up to the DMV to get them IDs renewed and get them.
They made everybody get this real ID. Yeah. That was a pain in the ass, but everybody did it. So what's the problem with here's your voter ID?
It was a pain in the ass.
But
Well, most people had to make those appointments.
But again, if I'm 95, I ain't going. I'm like, I'm done. I ain't got
Well, that's
nothing.
you. But
Yeah.
if you're talking about in the areas where they actually targeting this stuff, this is in the South.
Yeah,
You're talking about old black folks in the South, like
They probably.
But
they need to go out and vote because they know that they live in a state that's probably majority Republican.